Now through March 3rd, we are running another giant giveaway on Be Real Custom Gear. We are giving away a brand new Matthews bow of your choosing, a full turkey system from Sitka Gear in the new cover, along with their new boots, and our turkey arrows, a 3-pack of our turkey arrows with the broadheads, the head chopping setup. So you're gonna be absolutely ready for turkey season with this giveaway. All you have to do is buy something off of Be Real Custom Gear and an additional 10 entries if you buy any of our 6-pack of arrows. So UV1Ks, RIPs, or TKOs, any of those 6-packs, you get 10 extra entries. And also, for this month, if you sign up for our email newsletter, you get automatically entered to win. So a couple different ways to enter to win. There will be details down below in the description, but don't miss out on this epic turkey giveaway, Matthews bow, turkey system from Sitka in all new cover, and the new boots. Don't miss out. Get entered to win today. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and hunting season's officially over. We might have some fun springtime activities, hunting videos, but we're transitioning now into archery shop videos. We're gonna be doing a lot of archery shop videos, tutorials, how-tos, fun videos, everything like that. But today, we're actually in the warehouse. We're going to do a arrow fletching tutorial video. We've done these in the past, but it's time for a refresh of one, and to do it in the warehouse. If you guys have been not knowing, we have been scaling up our custom arrow facility here in the warehouse. So this is our arrow building corner. We have fletching station, we have wrap station, and then we have cutting station. So it's built to order, almost built to order, and we're working on capabilities to do 100% custom arrow builds. So it's like if you want blue RIP or blue VAP TKOs or whatever, we're gonna be able to do that. But right now, we just have our standard yellows. So that's on the website, Be Real Custom. But I kind of wanted to go through step by step how we in the warehouse and how I have just always fletched arrows. So we're gonna literally go step by step here, how we do it. We have RIP TKOs, absolutely fantastic arrow, and we have Ultra View 1Ks, which are pre-done, pre-fletched, everything like that. Those are sitting on the shelf over there. And then we have RIP TKOs that we fletch in-house, and then we have RIPs, which we also fletch in-house. It's almost like a great, good, better? No, good, better, best. That's the right word. Good, better, best. It's almost a tier system. UV1Ks we've talked about a lot, but it is the most forgiving, best performing arrow that Victory makes on the market. The 1000th weave, it recovers the fastest. It's the best for broadhead flight, for tuning, for just forgiveness in general. Next best is these RIP TKOs. It has a weave in it, so super strong, super forgiving. And then the standard RIPs are just a straight wall carbon, so it doesn't have the weave. Still a fantastic arrow. Everything is 1000 straightness. The UV1Ks is just 1000 straightness, because when they're manufactured, when you get, you look at the different SKUs, it's like 1000s, and then it's like 003s and 006, which is, I think it's like gamer and then sport. Is that right, Austin? Yeah. Gamer and then sport. That's due to the manufacturing process, that there's always some tolerance differences. 001s, 003s, 06. It's pretty much so that they're not sitting on a bunch of like less than perfect shafts. They sell them at a lower rate. Well, the UV1Ks, when they manufacture them and are manufacturing them, there are only 001s. The through rate is absolutely insane. It is the straightest arrow that there possibly is. But with the TKOs and the RIPs, we only offer the 001s because that's the best and the straightest option. So we're gonna open these up, maybe. These come in 12 packs, and we also, now on Be Real Custom, we are offering just regular blank shafts if you want to just build them all your own. But let's take all these out. What's different on what we sell on Be Real Custom is we swap out the 50 grain outsert, aluminum outsert, with the 75 grain stainless steel core. So not a lot of people do that. I actually don't know anyone else that does that, like standard stock, swapping out for stainless steel. But I'm a big stainless steel components fan because Aluminum is a weaker material, aluminum bends, so my experience running 50 grain out of like the RIP TKOs in the past, they eventually bend because it's just aluminum, so we swap them out. The stainless steel core, aluminum outside, which is just like where the field tip screws in, but with the stainless steel core, they almost do not bend regardless unless you shoot a boulder, and at that point the whole arrow just blows up. And even in that case, we've shot some crazy stuff in the past and they've done really well. So we have our outserts and we have an arrow. Let's grab an arrow, and what we do here, this is our wrapping station. You know, luckily we have the space to where every station can be independent of each other, but when you're doing fletching, cutting, wrapping, you want to be really clean with it, especially in the wrapping station. That's why we kind of have it on the separate table over here. You don't want dust, you don't want dirt or anything on your workstation or getting on the wraps or anything, because then all the little particles and everything get underneath it. So we got our mats right here, we got our wraps. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your wrap, and we got your graphics on this side. The graphics, you can do them however you want, but how we advertise is the graphics don't go towards the knock. So we're gonna lay that down right here. And then we need a little pointer. Works really nice to have either a knife or a pointer or something like that, because you can move this around way easier and get it lined up. On this mat, we have a little outline of where this wrap should go. So again, logos and everything are on the knock side. And then these are all have a little spine align indicator. So what we do when we fletch these is we do the top fletching in line with the spine align. So that every single one is spine align upward with your top fletching so that they're all fletched the same. So when you do this, you're going to want to hold your knock. It's kind of difficult to explain, but your spine align is going to be facing upward. It's almost like at a 45-degree angle, so that when you spin it just like this, the spine align hits the edge of the wrap right there. And then when we fletch it, that top fletching goes right on the seam of the wrap just to help keep the wrap down. So you're going to line up the edge of the knock with the edge of the carbon. Make sure it is aligned right there. And then we're going to roll it on. Okay, and then right there you can see spine align all the way down, right with the seam. Perfect wrap, look at that. It's like I've done this a million times. Really works well on a mat. Like if you don't have a mat like this, a soft surface, it's kind of hard to do it on a tabletop because you want some squishiness to really push into the wrap. So if you got like a mouse pad at home, even like cardboard works better than just a hard surface. Honestly, like a t-shirt, anything that has like a little bit of squish to it. But like these mouse pad type mats are best for that. So we have a wrap done. Now we're gonna come over to a jig. All of these jigs that we use, these are our 4 main jigs that we do. And they've all been, I call them like super tuned. The amount of arrows that we've gone through setting these up, it was like 20 or 30 arrows we ended up just stripping and getting rid of because we were fine tuning it just to be perfect. So all of these, me and Austin sat here for a long time to get them all super tuned or perfect. And we match the clamps with the jig. So this is clamp 3, jig 3, clamp 4, jig 4. They're all tuned to be exactly the same. It's a Bitzenberger jig, which now we just got a shipment in. We now have Bitzenbergers on the store. That almost worked perfectly. We now have Bitzenbergers on the store. So if you want to, wow, that didn't work. If you want to fletch your own arrows, Bitzenberger is the best jig in my opinion. We've used a lot of them, but tried and true. There's a couple new ones that are kind of interesting that I haven't used yet, but tried and true, it's the Bits jig. So a little storing tip that we do is we shove something in the clamp right here so that they don't dry shut, because you fletch a bunch of arrows, let's say you do a dozen a year or something, you put it away, that clamp can get glued shut nearly. So when you go to store them, shove something in there just so that it doesn't dry shut. Not the end of the world. If you don't, you just got to kind of pry it out. So, and then also what you got to do, let me grab a razor blade. Every now and again, you got to clean up the blade because just glue kind of gets gummed up on it. Like right now, you can see right here, there's just like a little bit of glue right here. So you just kind of take the blade, get that glue off, and we are good to go, back in business. Okay, clamp 3, jig 3, and now when setting up the jig to fletch your first arrow, we have the top seam of the wrap right here aligned with the spine line, and we are going to align it so that the top fletching lays right on that. So right now it's slightly off. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the arrow and grab the bits knob, spin it, so that when we lay this clamp down, it's going to lay right on top of the wrap line. So we have that set. It's always good to double check, make sure you hear that click. Then grab one of our fletchings. These are master packs that we get with fletchings to do the big orders and everything like that. They come in packs of 36. Otherwise, where we fletch all these arrows, and what I've always done is that first little line right there is what I line up that bottom part with. So every single one is lined up right there. Boning Blazer Bond. Why I'm a fan of boning in general, all of their fletchings, you can nearly spit on them and they stick. All these other veins I've fletched and they have like primer pens and this special process, and you got to use acetone. With boning stuff, it's something about the materials they use in the activation process. You don't have to do any of that. It's fantastic. You can nearly, the saying I go back to all the time is like, you can literally spit on them and they stick. So we use Blazer Bond, which is their version of fletching glue. We got our jig, and then pretty much what you're trying to achieve is no air pockets when putting glue on. So you don't want to do too much, you don't want to do too little, but if you were to err on one side, it's too much rather than too little, because too much, it just spews out and it looks messy, but they're going to stick and you can clean it up a little bit. So you just want to make sure that there's no air pockets. So get the glue down in the nozzle. What I like to do is do drops, about 5 drops all the way up and down. Then you take the tip of the nozzle and you smear that glue all the way up and down. Double check that there's no little air pockets, which there's not. And then when putting the clamp on, you're going to first just magnetize it on so that you have it there, and then you can kind of smudge it around. We're going to make contact, our first contact point down at the bottom, hit the jig, and then we're going to slide it on. And I like using 2 hands, and you just push right down. And you hold for really as long as you want, but you really only need to hold for about 5 seconds. You let go, open the clamp, tilt it towards you, and pull up. And we have our first fletching done. This is a left helical clamp, so if you're using a Matthews bow with stock strings, the arrow is going to naturally kick to the left out of the bow. So you don't want to fight it with a right helical. You want to guide it like continually with a left helical. So these are all left. Depending on your bow, depending on your manufacturer and the strings, it all matters how the string is twisted, and it's going to be one way or another. So Matthews stock bow, which is, I use Matthews, and the majority of people, it's about 60% of people should be left helical. So that's what we do, left helical. Grab another fletching. We're going to do the same thing. Bottom line. 5 dots. Put it right on there. That last vein was really clean. There was no really excess glue, but this one I put a little bit more on. I already see some spilling out, so I'll clean this one after. For about 5 seconds. Lift up. Q-tips are your friend with this process. So we clean that up. Rotate. Nothing to clean up on that side. And do it again. And this is just a 3 Fletch. I feel like with these X3 veins, a 3 Fletch is kind of all you need. It's good for everything, fixed blades, mechanicals. They're quiet, especially with, I call it the heat vein material, because heat veins only come in it, but it's the stiffer material, the X material. They're quiet. Okay, so now we're gonna do our third and final one. Tip forward, pull it out of the jig, see if anything needs cleaned, which it doesn't. Bada bing, we fletched an arrow. So now that that is all done, what we do is, this is our drying rack situation that we got. It's super nice. It's also kind of retrofitted, but it works really nice for them to dry. So we like to let them up here just for a little bit, especially if you're working, you throw them up. But for final production, this is our awesome jig right here. Look at that. That makes me just so excited and happy inside. As they get fletched, they get put in there. Our good friends, the Byrams, if you guys remember Cooper from the videos, his dad actually made that for us. So super easy for us now to store them in there for whenever you guys get orders, and then we'll pull from there and we rock and roll with it. Let's go ahead and do another one real quick, and then I will show you guys how we cut them and glue them and get them set up that way. So we'll grab another one. We'll just go through the whole process again. We'll wrap it. And when you buy wraps, they come with 13, just in case you mess up once, which is very nice. We got logos facing the knock. Use a pointer or a knife or something just to move that. Doesn't need to be exact, but it is kind of nice to have it be in the same spot every single time. Spinal lines slightly facing away. Line it up with the knock. I like to press down also right there just to make sure that seals good. Double check. Spinal line's perfect. And what we'll do is we stage a bunch of them. So the guys will, they'll wrap a couple dozen over there and then bring them over here and fletch them. So it's not like every single time. So if you're doing 6 or you're doing 12 arrows, it's good to do every step exactly the same and get done with that step before moving to the next step. So if you got 12 arrows, wrap them all, stage them up here, fletch all of them at the same time, so you just kind of have the same, not necessarily it would be different if you took a break or did something, but it's nice to get them all done, then move them over to a fletching jig. Okay, so now we're going to make sure that line is going to hit the jig first. Right there. We'll do this process all over again. A bottle of glue lasts a really long time too. You can fletch dozens of arrows with one bottle unless you leave it open and it dries or does something crazy like that. So these last a pretty long time. Right there, hold it down. And again, 2 fingers, I like to just both sides of the clamp kind of push down to make sure that it's just good adhesion all the way around. Spin. One of the number 1 reasons why you mess up, at least why I mess up, is you forget to click it all the way into place. And you kind of you either fletch it just out like that, then you get done and you look at the arrow and like two veins are closer together than the other one. So it's always good to get in a habit of making sure you click over all the way. Okay, now we'll do this again. About 5 drops. Five drops, 5 seconds on the clamp. A little bit of extra there. There. Let us know in the comments if you prefer a 3 Fletch or a 4 Fletch, because we've always offered 3. I know a lot of guys like 4. I like 3 because I feel like it's middle ground with this fletching and setup. But if you guys want a 4 Fletch, let us know, because we can definitely offer that in the future. It's just, as you guys know, you offer more things and it just becomes more work, more jigs, because we got these jigs set right now. Okay. 2 fingers, good pressure, 5 seconds. Check for excess glue, and we're good. Another arrow. When everything's set up, it doesn't take very long to do a couple of them. Another arrow. So what we're going to do now, like I was saying, we upgrade these to the stainless steel outsert. So if you're like, hey, I want arrows cut to 28 inches or whatever. So we have a saw over here, which we will move. Let's move it to 28 inches. There we go. These D-cut arrow saws are actually really nice. I've had this one for a while. I have 2 of them now. 3 of them. 2 of them now. Work really good. They're small and they can kind of come all the way down, and you can store it away and put it on a shelf. So, but also high volumes and stuff like that. They work really, really well too. So when you're cutting an arrow, of course, make sure you got your measurements and everything correct. But the knock end goes over in this side. And then before we turn it on, what I like to do is you push into the saw and then you spin. You never want to like push and do a bunch of random movements. You just want to cut what you need and then spin. And there's a lot of people say like spin into the blade or spin out of the blade. And I've kind of done it every way, and I don't really know if there's a pro or a con to it. It all cuts the same. But you don't want to like hack into it a bunch of times. So knock in, that there, we'll turn the saw on. Spin, we got a clean cut, and then we come over to this G5 arrow square diamond bit. You shove it in. It's really nice if you mount it to a table or something so you can really press against it. But you just kind of give it a few spins, and now the arrow is 100% square. We use this black glue insert nastiness. It's really a nasty glue, but it works really well. We get a lot of questions too, can you heat these up and get them out? The answer is yes, but the answer is also no. If you heat up, heat is carbon's worst nightmare. Like if you heat up carbon too much, it can destroy and damage the carbon. So what we recommend, if you're like, man, I want to cut off a ½ inch or whatever else, a heat gun or boiling water works really well just to heat it up enough to where you can pull it out. It's not like the standard hot melt glue or blue melt where you can just heat it up with a lighter and it pulls out. You got to get it a little higher temperature. But instead of a flame, we recommend a heat gun and stuff like that. So you just don't damage the arrow, because carbon and heat do not mix very well. For this, you do not need much. So outsert. Just kind of put a ring of black glue around that. And then you always want to spin it as you insert. Paper towel. Wipe any excess off. then this is a jig that we are in the process of upgrading, but you want them to dry vertically. You don't want them to dry on the side, because what happens if you dry an ouncer on its side, it kind of can sag one way or another, because there's micro hundreds of thousands of tolerance in there. If they dry on the side, like if you lay them down on a table, it could just be slightly off. So we're in the process of upgrading, but this is old Austin's little handiwork that he made over here. And they stand up perfectly straight and dry nice. So that's kind of our whole process. So if you ordered 6 or whatever, we have them Fletch, but then we'll cut them to order, and then we'll box them up over here, and then they go over to our shipping station and rock and roll out. So fletching arrows can be super rewarding, but it also can be super frustrating if you don't get it down. So a couple simple steps to set you up for success is always a great thing. If you screw up on some, you can use just a dull knife. It's not great to use a sharp knife because you can scrape away at the carbon, but sort of like boning, little razor blade thing works good. You can strip them away, and then what we do is like this denatured alcohol you can put on paper towel and then just clean any sort of residue off of the arrow before you rewrap it. But the most important part is don't cut down too deep into the carbon to do that. Did I forget anything, Austin?
I don't think so.
Right on. Arrow Fletching 101. We're ramping up production here in the warehouse. If you guys are interested in more arrows and more custom arrows, we got more coming your way. Check it out on BeRealCustom.com. What do you think, Jake? Awesome. We good?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Check it out.